welcome back to another video. Today I am back to do the final video for the color along where we are coloring the frog prints in Maria Trolle's Botanicum. Now the only thing we have left to do on this page is a background, and so this is going to be a background tutorial. I am going to be using Pan Pastels, but you can use any pastels that you would like. If you have the Mungio pastels at home, I always recommend those. You could just match up the colors that I'm going to show you if you are following along with this. I have been sitting here for quite a while trying to test out different mediums, put different colors together, figure out what colors I want to put in this background, and I think I have finally come up with something. If you check the description box down below, you'll find links down there for everything that you see in this video, as well as links to my email list, my Facebook group, my Etsy shop, and my Patreon if you would like to support me there. I also now have channel membership. You can find more information out about that by clicking the join button down below. So this is the page that we've been working on, and I have a few pan pastels laying here. As you can see, I have been having quite the time testing out different colors and mediums. These over here, this one and this one here are Neo colors. And after I put some of the colors together with Neo colors, I thought they were just way too vibrant. And I wasn't sure that they would really look good on the background of this page. So I needed to get something that was a little bit more muted. And so the Pan Pastels are still bright and vibrant, but they're more muted a little bit and sort of toned down at the same time, because once you add water to these, they just really pop. And maybe it was that I didn't choose the right colors. I finally came up with this here, and this is with the Pan Pastels. I tested the Pan Pastels and quite a few different colors here and here. This is all Pan Pastels. I was trying to come up with an idea of what I'm going to do around the flower, and I'm still not exactly sure where I'm going to go with that. But I think I'm going to try a little bit something like this. This sort of brings in all of the colors on the page, because as you can see right now, there's a whole lot of green in this page, greens and yellows. And then you can see the iris up here. It has a lot of purples and pinks, and I just wanted to be able to bring that back around the page. And so that's what I sort of used to be able to choose my colors and what I want to do. I want to be able to create some balance amongst the whole page and bring all of these colors to the background. I haven't figured out exactly how I'm going to do that yet, but I've been testing quite a bit, as you can see. So I'm just going to start and we're going to see what we can come up with. So I actually had the internet guy coming this morning, so I had to get up super early, which I don't usually ever do. I was up this morning by like 6:30 a.m. so I could get my workout in and still get done everything I needed to do. So I had a lot of extra time to sit here and sort out all my Pan Pastels. So I finally got that done. They're all sorted out, all in color families and in their cases. But I'm so glad that I got that done, because it made it so much easier for me to be able to just go through them and be able to choose my colors. Now I do have quite a few colors here, and it's all the ones I've been testing. I don't really know quite yet where I'm going with this, but I am going to get to it and we are going to figure something out and hopefully it turns out great. I have magenta tint, and then I have magenta. This one is violet tint and violet. And then I grabbed this Hansa yellow tint. I don't know if I'm adding that one in yet, but I thought it would be nice to add some yellow in here and there to be able to bring out a lot of the yellow that I actually used on the coloring page. And then I also pulled these out, and I was experimenting with these two quite a bit, but I'm not sure that I'm going to use them. We're going to see where this goes. But this is phthalo blue tint, and then this is turquoise. So I went and grabbed some of the foam inserts that go on top of the Pan Pastel tool. These actually come in the kits when you order the Pan Pastels. It just slides right on there like that. But I think I had too much color just from everything I was doing, and I want to make sure it doesn't get on the page. I'm going to go ahead and start with the magenta tint. This is a super light color, but you don't need a whole lot at all. A very little bit with these goes a very long way, but this is going to be my main color. And so I'm just going to start adding this to the page. I'm going in a circular motion. And I would like to just lay this color everywhere. And I think I'm going to just come back afterwards and add the other colors in. But this is just a really pretty pale pink color. Actually, I think maybe I'm going to cover a larger area with it rather than doing the whole page, just so I can see what I'm doing here and make sure that it's going to turn out the way that I want it to before I go over into the other areas of the page. And I'm trying to be really careful not to go over or into what I've colored, but with pan pastels, they are always erasable. So if you get in somewhere that you don't want it, all you do is just come back and go over it with an eraser. This is my mono eraser. For those of you that have not seen this before, it's just a little teeny tiny eraser, and it's perfect for getting in little teeny tiny spaces. But what my thoughts were is that it would look much better if I went with the pinks, because it would help to bring the pinks and the purples that were up here in the iris down and throughout the rest of the page. And I think maybe here in a second I'm going to start coming in with my next color and just testing it out to see what it looks like. And just like you saw me do over here, if you lay a color down that you don't really care for, you can always come back and pick it up with an eraser. So let's go ahead and add in a little bit of the violet tint before we come in with the darker colors. I did brush my sponge off to the side just to make sure that I don't have any of the previous color still on the brush. And now I'm just going to come in here and add in some of this color. Do you see how awesome these are? How the color just lays right down and it blends right in to the other colors. And I think so far I really like this. So let's see what happens when we come back and add in some of the darker colors now. I'm going to start with magenta. I am only using a teeny tiny little bit, and I'm just going to start blending this color into some of these other colors and see what I can come up with. And it's definitely already looking better than when I had tested it out. I was a little bit nervous, to be honest. But like I said, a very little bit goes a long way, and you're going to see that once I start laying these darker colors down here. It's going to blend into some of these other colors, and it may even change the colors up just a bit. But a very little bit goes a very long way. But I am being very careful with this color not to add too much, and I'm trying to space out where I lay it so that I could blend it into these other colors and it looks even. And you can see in some of the areas here where I laid it over the purple, the color changes just a little bit, and then down here it's a little bit more pink. But I think that's really pretty so far. I brushed my sponge off as much as I could to the side to try to get most of that off. And now I'm going to dab into the violet. I think this was violet. Yes, this is violet. And I'm going to start adding just a tad bit of this in here. This one is even darker, I think. Wow, that is pretty though. I think I actually chose the right colors now. Wow, that color is definitely making a difference. That is so pretty. And like I said, don't ever feel like you made a mistake with pan pastels, or any pastels for that matter, because you can come back and just pick the color up and erase it. Let's pull this out just a little bit more and try to blend it in just a little bit. And this paper in this book is doing really well with these pan pastels. So now I'm going to start over, and I'm going to go ahead and grab my lightest pink that I was using, and I'm going to go ahead and cover the whole entire page. But I wanted to show you just how much came off that brush after I was done. And all of this right here is all of that violet that I just had on my brush, and that is all of the color that could have gone down on my page. But of course I wasn't using it, and you need to make sure you get your brush cleaned off really, really well. So hopefully I got most of that off there because I'm going back to the lightest color. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and spread this color all over the whole page. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to go ahead and speed it up to music. And then we're going to come back and we're going to start applying the rest of the colors. And I may even come in with more colors. A base down of that color, and when I was laying the color down, I made sure that I left a little bit of white. You can see over here that there's a lot of spaces of white, and so I just spread the color going in sort of a circular motion and back and forth at the same time, and left a lot of white space. And the reason I did that is so that I can come in and add other colors without them blending and turning into another color. Now I have my next color. This is the violet tint, and I'm going to come in and start adding some of this color now. I'm ready to come in and add some of the magenta. And this is our really dark one, so I'm going to make sure that I brush my brush off really, really good before I start. And then I'm just going to add a very little bit, and I'm going to try to space it evenly. So I'm just dabbing it, and then I'm going to start down here, and I'm going to blend the color into some of those other colors. You see how dark it could get? I just dipped it back into the pan, and so now I have a lot more color going down there onto the page again. So I'm just blending the color into the other colors, but this color is just really beautiful, and it changes it up so much. And then when we come back and we add in more of that violet, this is just going to look really pretty. And see, I'm getting a little more daring with this now, and I think I'm feeling a little bit more confident to add a little bit more color. And I can always come back with the other shades, like the lighter shades, and add some of those back in if I feel like I did too much. I'm going to leave that down there and then come back and blend it in a little bit later. And then I'm going to come up here and start adding some of this magenta as well. Time to add some violet, and I think I'm going to start down here at the bottom, and I'm going to start blending some of this color into the other colors. So I think I had a little bit too much on there, so I did brush it off to the side just a little bit, but oh my gosh, this makes such a big difference. And I am going to come back and blend a lot of this in, quite a bit more than what you're seeing here, when I get a little bit closer to the end. Coming back and going in more of a circular motion and blending some of these colors together, but I just want the colors to look a little bit more consistent and a little bit more blended in. But I am going to come back with some other colors and even this out just a little bit more. Down here where I initially laid the color, there was quite a bit of it that went down onto the paper, so I'm just going to blend that in and probably come back with another color and blend it out a little bit more. But I would like to see some more of my lighter colors here. Okay, so I have my magenta tint, and I'm going to dip my sponge in there, and I'm just going to start adding in some of this lighter color, and I'm also using it to blend some of these colors out and cover some of that white. And I actually just had a thought. I wonder how a little bit of that blue will look. I'm going to try to add a little bit of this phthalo blue tint, and I'm going to see what it looks like. And it actually looks good. I think I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of this in where I see some of the white of the paper. Oh, that does look pretty. So this is really helping to add a little bit of something extra to the background. I love how that blue is blending into the other colors. But I knew I left some white space for a reason. I think the blue looks really pretty here around the leaves, and we'll add a little bit right in here around the butterfly. I was actually going to use the yellow for this, but I think the blue is actually a better choice. So I'm just using the blue as a little bit of a border in some of these areas, because if I were to take some of these other colors and put them right up close to the lily, it wouldn't have looked as good. And I think that the blue really helps the lily to stand out a little bit more since it's not the same color. But I think that's really pretty. I'm glad I decided to do that. And when you're coloring, always test out new things, especially on a medium like this that is so super forgiving, and you can always go back and pull it up. And see, I wasn't sure about the blue, but I decided to go ahead and test it out, and now I'm glad I did. I think it just works, especially now that it's all coming together and I could see all the colors together as one. Now I'm going to come back and get in a little bit of this white space with the blue. You could see how I blend this blue in, how the colors just really change because it's actually blending into those other colors. And so it doesn't look like the same shade of blue, but it blends in really nicely. And then here where I put it on top of the white, it will look much bluer. Our background's done, and I love the way that it turned out. Y'all have to let me know what you think in the comments below. I'm so excited that I decided to add that blue. I love the addition of the blue. it made such a difference. And it just really brought balance to the page and brought all of those colors together. If you remember from the last video you watched, I had added blue, sort of like a teal blue in here in the butterfly, and I even added those stickles that were sort of like a very teal blue. So I think the addition of another shade of blue just really brought it all together. But like I said, don't ever be afraid with Pan Pastels if you get them in a place that you don't want them, because the color comes right back up, even with the background. If I had made a mistake or laid a color where I didn't want it, all of it can come right back up with an eraser. And if you were doing something like that with a background, I would use an eraser such as this one that's a little bit bigger. This is my General's eraser. I think it says Fractise on here. I usually have this linked down in the description box if you're interested, but that's a really fantastic eraser. And this one is amazing for little small spaces. But I love the way that it turned out. And that concludes our color along of this adorable little frog prints. We were able to create lots of balance on the page, and I'm just really happy to see this finished. If y'all have followed along with this color along, I would love to see what you've done. If you want to post in my Facebook group and tag me, you can surely do that. I hope y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Happy coloring. Bye.